My journey with love began early, like a story with too many opening chapters. In high school, my heart was a revolving door. There was my first love, a relationship built on shared snacks and whispered secrets during class. We thought it was forever, a promise sealed with a cheap ring from a candy machine. But forever was short. It ended when I saw him holding someone else's hand after school. The pain was sharp, my first taste of betrayal. I learned then that some promises are as fleeting as the school bell, signaling an end you never saw coming. It felt like the world was ending, but it was just the first of many endings. Then came college, a new playground with new faces and new chances for heartache. I met someone in the university library. He was smart, funny, and he made me feel like the main character in a romantic movie. We were inseparable for a semester, our dates consisting of late-night study sessions and shared instant noodles. I called it love, but looking back it was just a beautiful distraction from the pressures of exams and thesis proposals. The breakup was quiet, a slow fade. We just grew in different directions, our paths diverging like two separate roads after a common junction. There was no third party, just the silent, creeping realization that we wanted different things from life. Another relationship started with a whirlwind of passion and intensity. This one felt different, more mature, or so I thought. We talked about the future, about dreams we would build together, but beneath the surface, there were cracks. Jealousy was a constant, unwelcome guest in our conversations. We fought over small things that became big things, like a tiny spark turning into a wildfire. Trust issues poisoned our connection until there was nothing left but suspicion and exhaustion. The breakup was messy, loud, and full of words we both regretted. It taught me that passion without trust is like a house without a foundation, destined to crumble under the slightest pressure. Through all these experiences, I collected exes like souvenirs from different trips. Each one represented a different version of me, a different lesson I was supposed to learn. There was the short-lived summer fling that ended when the vacation did. There was the online romance that fizzled out when we finally met in person, and the chemistry just wasn't there. I thought having many relationships meant I was experienced in love. I thought it made me worldly and wise. But in reality, I was just a traveler passing through many towns, never truly staying long enough to call any place home. I was just collecting stories, not building a life. The problem was, even when a relationship ended, it didn't truly leave me. The feelings lingered like stubborn ghosts, haunting my present and clouding my future. After the messy breakup filled with jealousy, I carried those trust issues into my next interaction. I would question every late reply, every new friend, assuming the worst. I was punishing a new person for the mistakes of an old one. It was unfair, and I knew it, but I couldn't help it. The wounds from the past were still open, and I was letting them infect everything that came after. My heart was a haunted house, and I was its only resident. I remember trying to move on by simply declaring I was over it. I would delete their number, throw away their pictures, and tell my friends I was fine. But my heart had not received the memo. I would find myself stalking their social media profiles late at night, searching for clues about their new life. Did they miss me? Were they happier now? This obsession with the past kept me tethered to it. I wasn't moving forward, I was just walking in circles, with one foot always stuck in yesterday. The feeling of being left behind was a heavy weight I carried everywhere. This emotional baggage made it impossible for anything new to blossom. I met a kind person who was patient and understanding, but I couldn't give them the love they deserved. My heart was still reserved for someone who was no longer in my life. I was physically present on dates, but my mind was elsewhere, replaying old conversations and imagining different outcomes. It was like trying to pour new water into a cup that was already full of old, stagnant liquid. Nothing new could fit, and what was there was no longer good for me. I was emotionally unavailable, a closed door to anyone who tried to enter. Even when I thought I was ready, the ghosts would reappear. A song on the radio, a familiar scent, or seeing a couple that reminded me of us. Anything could trigger the memories. The sadness would wash over me all over again. I was not healing. I was just putting a bandage on a deep cut without cleaning it first. I learned that you cannot build a future when you are still living in the ruins of your past. The ghosts of my exes weren't just memories, they were active participants in my life, whispering doubts and fears into my ear and preventing me from truly connecting with someone new. To escape the loneliness, I became an expert at jumping from one relationship to the next. I thought a new person could fix the pain left by the old one. This was my cycle of rebounds. A breakup would happen on a Friday, and by the next Friday, I was already on a date with someone else. I wasn't looking for a genuine connection. I was looking for a distraction, a temporary cure for a broken heart. These new relationships were built on a foundation of emptiness. They were destined to fail before they even began, because I was using people as medicine for my own unresolved issues. These rebound relationships were always shallow and short-lived. I couldn't be vulnerable or open up because I was afraid of getting hurt again. I kept everyone at a distance, offering only a surface-level version of myself. The conversations were light, the laughter was forced, and the connection was as thin as paper. I was there, but I wasn't really there. The other person would eventually feel it. They would sense the wall I had built around my heart. They would realize they were just a placeholder, and they would leave. And then, the cycle would begin all over again. The biggest problem with this cycle was that I never gave myself time to heal. I never sat with my sadness or tried to understand why the previous relationship failed. I never asked myself what I had learned or what I could do better next time. Instead, I just ran from the pain, hoping a new romance would erase it. But you cannot outrun your own heart. By avoiding the healing process, I was just accumulating more baggage, more hurt, and more confusion. Each failed rebound added another layer of disappointment, making it even harder to believe that real love was possible for me. This constant search for a partner made me forget who I was without one. My identity became tied to being in a relationship. I was someone's girlfriend, never just myself. I didn't know what I liked to do on my own, what my own dreams were, or what made me happy outside of a romantic context. I was a chameleon, changing my colors to fit whoever I was with at the moment. This lack of a solid sense of self was dangerous. It meant I was always looking for someone else to complete me, not realizing that I was already supposed to be whole on my own. The turning point came one quiet evening. I was scrolling through my phone, about to download another dating app after another situationship had ended. I looked at my reflection on the dark screen and I didn't recognize the tired, sad person looking back at me. In that moment, I realized the common denominator in all my failed relationships was me. It wasn't always the other person's fault. It was my inability to be alone, my fear of facing my own feelings, and my pattern of seeking validation from others. I was the one who needed to change. I finally understood that I couldn't find a healthy love with someone else until I found it within myself. That night, I deleted the dating apps. I decided to take a break from romance. It was scary at first. The silence was loud, and the loneliness felt overwhelming. But slowly, I started to fill that silence with my own voice. I rediscovered hobbies I had forgotten. I started journaling, writing down my thoughts and feelings instead of running from them. I took myself out on dates, to the movies, to my favorite cafes, to parks. I was learning to enjoy my own company. I was learning to be my own best friend, my own source of comfort and happiness. This journey of self-love was not a quick fix. It was a slow and deliberate process. It involved confronting my past mistakes and forgiving myself for them. I had to accept that I had been hurt, but also that I had hurt others in my desperate search for love. It was about taking responsibility for my own happiness. I learned that being single was not a curse or a waiting period. It was a precious opportunity to grow, to heal, and to build a strong foundation for my own life. It was a time to become the person I wanted to be, for myself and by myself. Now, I understand that true love for another person can only grow from a place of self-love. You cannot give what you do not have. My past is not a source of shame, but a collection of valuable lessons. Each heartbreak, each mistake, taught me something important about myself and about what I truly want in a partner. My gallery of almosts is now closed. I'm no longer searching for someone to complete me. I'm whole on my own, and if love comes again, it will be a beautiful addition to my life, not the center of it. The real journey was never about finding the right person. It was about becoming the right person first.